Director, Air Force, Ministry of Defense, heads of ministries, departments, and security agencies, the President, Nigerian Air Force Officers Wives Association, branch chiefs from Defense and Services Headquarters, commandants and director generals of trust service and Nigerian Air Force institutions here present, Air Officers Commanding Group Managing Director, Nigerian Air Force Investments Limited Group of Companies, directors and commanders here present, our esteemed resource persons, senior officers serving and retired, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored and delighted to welcome all our distinguished guests to the NAV Day 2025 seminar, held as part of the celebrations marking the 61st anniversary of our esteemed Air Force. I wish to extend special appreciation to our guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badr Abubakar, Commander of the Order of the Niger, ably represented by the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, Admiralty Medal. I equally welcome our esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Babagana Omara Zulu, the Executive Governor of Borno State, represented by Professor Usman Pa, a renowned expert and distinguished authority in the field of defense and security studies. To the service chiefs, both serving and retired, as well as other esteemed guests here present, I say a warm welcome to you all. The NAV Day seminar remains a flagship component of our annual Air Force Day celebrations, offering a platform for strategic engagement among serving and retired personnel, as well as stakeholders from across defense, government, academia, and civil society. This year's seminar addresses the theme, optimizing civil-military relations in a joint operational environment for enhanced air operations. At the heart of this theme is the recognition that the citizenry remains our most valued partner in the quest to secure our nation. The Nigerian Air Force has remained firmly apolitical and deeply committed to upholding democratic ideals, including the rule of law, accountability, and respect for fundamental human rights. This unwavering allegiance to constitutional governance reflects our enduring dedication to protecting the sovereignty and unity of our nation in accordance with our constitutional mandate. Distinguished guests, permit me to emphasize that in furtherance of its commitment to strengthening civil-military relations, the Nigerian Air Force has played a pivotal role in humanitarian assistance and national response efforts. During global health emergencies, such as the Ebola outbreak and the COVID-19 pandemic, NAV personnel took great personal risks to provide critical air-lift support in collaboration with government agencies, including the National Center for Disease Control and the National Emergency Management Agency, delivering essential supplies and relief materials across the country, thereby saving countless lives. Nigerian Air Force has remained steadfast in its role as a professional and people-focused institution, a posture clearly demonstrated through its disaster response efforts, including the conduct of search and rescue missions, as well as the timely delivery of emergency aid to affected populations. The service has also been instrumental in the dignified repatriation of stranded Nigerians from various parts of the world, executing these missions with professionalism, compassion, and national pride. Beyond emergency response, Nigerian Air Force has continued to invest in education as a long-term strategy for fostering civil-military cooperation. Institutions such as the Air Force Institute of Technology, together with a network of now primary and secondary schools, serve both military and civilian populations, deepening public trust and reinforcing the foundations of mutual respect between the military and society. The Nigerian Air Force's enduring commitment to a people-centric ethos and the sanctity of human life is most profoundly reflected in the deliberate, disciplined, and humane manner in which we conduct our operations. Since 2015, Nigerian Air Force has flown over 8,000 sorties annually, amounting to more than 80,000 sorties over the past decade. Yet, with this extensive operational record, only a few verified incidents of collateral damage have been recorded. This represents an occurrence rate of less than 0.005%, an exceptional record. An exceptional record by global standards, particularly within the complexities of asymmetric warfare. It is a powerful reflection of our professionalism, precision, and steadfast commitment to protecting civilian lives, even in the most challenging operational environments. While we take pride in this impressive record, we are by no means complacent. We are very much aware that insurgents often deliberately embed themselves within civilian populations to evade detection, thereby creating unfortunate situations where collateral damage can occur despite our best efforts at precision and restraint. In the few instances where civilian casualties are reported, Nigerian Air Force has promptly conducted investigations, accepted responsibility, and taken necessary corrective actions to prevent future occurrences. Furthermore, the service has proactively invested in advanced technologies and robust protocols aimed at preventing civilian casualties. These efforts include deployment of enhanced real-time surveillance platforms, enforcement of stringent mission abort procedures upon detection of civilian pop presence, and the continuous training of personnel in international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict, as well as rules of engagement. Additionally, we have instituted robust accountability mechanisms and recently upgraded our Directorate of Civil-Military Relations to branch status. This institutional reform provides greater capacity and strategic focus on non-kinetic operations, ensuring that our engagements are anchored in transparency, compassion, and national interest. It is noteworthy that national security is a shared responsibility of all patriotic citizens and institutions. As such, the synergy between the military and civilian stakeholders remains central to achieving our collective aspirations for a secure and prosperous Nigeria. It is in this spirit that we have chosen a theme that promotes dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect between the military and civilian population. The activities scheduled for this year's NAF anniversary have been carefully curated to promote public engagement and deepen civil-military relations. For 2 weeks, we opened our bases and facilities to members of the public to facilitate closer interaction and shared understanding. In addition, several quick impact projects have been commissioned in host communities, especially within the operational theaters, to improve living conditions and reinforce our presence as partners in development. Today's gathering is also one of the key events selected to promote dialogue, share thoughts, and collaborative solutions to advance the cause of civil-military synergy. The lectures, Building Trust and Perspective for Sustainable Civil-Military Relations, and Civil-Military Relations and Operational Effectiveness, Nigerian Air Force Operations in Perspective, will offer valuable insights and practical strategies for improving engagement. I'm confident that the interactive sessions will spark meaningful discussions, address key concerns, and generate ideas that will inform future policy and enhance civil-military collaboration. I'm also glad to announce that in the course of today's event, we will be unveiling a landmark policy document titled Nigerian Air Force Civilian Harm Mitigation and Response Action Plan. The document is the first of its kind in the armed forces of Nigeria and is designed to guide our efforts in reducing the scale and impact of harm to civilians during air operations. Before I conclude, permit me to express my sincere appreciation to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, for his unwavering support to the Nigerian Air Force. Notably, the financial interventions and fiscal releases for the procurement of cutting-edge platforms with precision strike capabilities, such as the A-81 Zulu helicopter gunship, the M346 fighter attack aircraft. These platforms will further improve our targeting cycle, reduce collateral damage, and enhance civil-military relations. I also wish to extend my profound gratitude to the Ministry of Defense and the National Assembly for their exemplary leadership and legislative oversight, which ensure that the Nigerian Air Force remains well-equipped, mission-ready, and subject to civil authority. Our distinguished keynote speaker, their consistent support and partnership with the Nigerian Air Force are deeply appreciated. You have remained a steadfast ally in our journey towards national peace and security. Finally, I commend all participants, resource persons, and organizers for their tireless contributions to the success of this seminar. I also wish to reaffirm the commitment of the Nigerian Air Force to professionalism, transparency, and accountability in all its dealings with civil authorities and host communities. Together, let us continue to build an Air Force that not only dominates the skies, but also inspires confidence and partnership among the Nigerian people. On behalf of all officers, airmen, airwomen of the Nigerian Air Force, I once again welcome you all and thank you for honoring an invitation to this important seminar. Thank you all, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Babagana Umara Zulum, who is unavoidably absent, attending to critical office needs. As I speak, Governor Zulum is in the field, visiting remote locations affected by the recent resurgence of insurgency to build public confidence and provide critical support to our gallant forces to hold the ground and repel the insurgency. Therefore, when I say I, or when I use any pronoun, it refers to that of the governor and not mine. I'm only a messenger. I am deeply honored by the opportunity to give the keynote address at the auspicious occasion of this seminar, held in commemoration of the 61st anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force Day. The Nigerian Air Force has, since its establishment in 1964, played a very significant role in maintaining the territorial integrity and security of our great nation. As a strong pillar of our national defense and security architecture, the Nigerian Air Force has stood firm in providing the much-needed air power to project our national power domestically, continentally, and globally. It is gratifying to note that the Nigerian Air Force has recently acquired state-of-the-art assets and platforms to perform its constitutional duties effectively and efficiently. The impact of the service in this regard is particularly significant in its counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency efforts in the northeast zone, where I came from, which has of recent been blighted by insecurity, and this has been so for over a decade now. As the governor of the most affected state in the zone, I can attest to the invaluable contributions of the Nigerian Air Force in the fight against insurgency. I therefore want to seize this opportunity to commend and appreciate the Chief of the Air Staff and all personnel for their bravery, sacrifice, and commitment to duty. Air power, civil-military relations, and national security. Great nations are those that invest in air power and dominate the airspace. The altitude is a privileged space that only nations occupy and dominate. It is imperative to note that today our airspace is virtually out of bounds for the insurgents and the terrorists, even though we're sadly hearing of recent news of the ability of the terrorists to acquire drone capability, even with capacity to deliver projectiles. The theme of this year's seminar, Optimizing Civil-Military Relations in a Joint Operational Environment for Enhanced Air Operation, is most appropriate and timely, particularly considering Nigeria's current security landscape. The country is grappling with protracted security challenges associated with terrorism, insurgency, and banditry, among others. The effective resolution of these challenges require an all-of-the-society approach in which all stakeholders, including the military, work in concert with civil society organizations and the rest of the population to project the nation's power and national interests. As the governor of Borno State, I have learned firsthand the important collaboration and cooperation between the military and the civilian population in achieving security and stability. I have realized and optimally utilized civic resources, popular consent, and goodwill in driving public policy and project management. In the security sector, I have emphasized the importance of human intelligence and community ownership of our counterinsurgency and peace-building operations. Unfortunately, this interaction has been suboptimal and often criticized with mistrust and acrimony. I am aware that the issue of trust will be handled decisively by one of the speakers, the resource persons, Professor Zabadi. The fact that the Nigerian Air Force is prepared to talk about these issues is very comforting, and I sincerely commend the service for organizing this important session, which underscores the need for trust and cooperation in civil-military relations. In recent times, cases of civilian casualties during air interdictions missions have stoked the people's anger and resentment for the military. Specific instances, such as the unfortunate incidents in Naira and Kaduna states, generated concerns and misconception among the public. While those unintentional occurrences are deeply regrettable, those of us that have worked closely with the military understand that air operations are often conducted in complex and fluid environment. Hence, the outcome can sometimes be unpredictable. But we are deeply sure that the Air Force has always conducted its mission with the safety of the civilians in its radar. This is more so considering the guerrilla tactics employed by the insurgents, who sometimes deliberately embed themselves within civilian populations in order to evade military action. Nevertheless, we must not fail to acknowledge the enormous weight of responsibility on the shoulders of the Nigerian Air Force to conduct its air operations with the utmost precision in order to ensure that civilians are exempted from any form of kinetic action. Gladly, my interaction with the Air Force leadership tend to indicate that the service consistently prioritizes the minimization of collateral damage by employing precision-guided munitions, enhanced intelligence gathering, and strict rules of engagement. Nonetheless, in the rare instances where civilian casualties occur, the military has always taken responsibility by reviewing its operational procedures and making necessary adjustments to prevent recurrence. It is on this note that I am expectant that the discussions in this seminar will address these issues which have impeded civil-military relations in our country. Interagency collaboration and civil-military relations. The dynamics of contemporary security environment imply that effective air operations cannot be achieved in isolation. Therefore, integration of civil-military efforts is a fundamental principle towards optimizing operational effectiveness. Synergy between air authorities and civilian institutions fosters trust, cooperation, and intelligence sharing, ultimately enhancing national security and stability. To optimize civil-military relations, therefore, we must recognize the interdependence of our efforts. The military requires the support and trust of the civilian population to operate effectively, while civilians rely on military to provide security and protection. This is a symbiotic relationship. By fostering a culture of mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation, we can build a stronger, more resilient communities that are better equipped to withstand as well as mitigate the challenges of insecurity. This is a force multiplier for the Air Force and indeed the armed forces. At the same time, as the lead agency in national defense and security, the military as a whole must not only work with civil population, but it must also demonstrate a willingness to lead by example through a sustained and deliberate demonstration of interagency collaboration. Agency is loosely defined here to refer to all agencies of government, including not only the services, but also the whole raft of government establishment, such as paramilitary agencies, emergency management agencies, and ministry departments and agencies. The interagency universe is, in fact, an umbrella concept that captures the military working closely with the public sector to achieve military objectives. Only then can the military lay a legitimate claim and aspiration to extending the olive branch to civil society and private sector organizations to project national power both internally and externally. Permit me at this juncture to look into a case study of how air power interfaces with civil-military relations in the operational environment. And I use the example of Borno State. Borno State has for a long time been the epicenter of security challenge that have culminated in the prolonged deployment of air assets and military assets in general. The contribution of air power as part and parcel of the paraphernalia of national power in counter-terrorism and anti-banditry operations have been invaluable in restoring peace to affected communities in Borno State. However, I urge the Air Force to complement its efforts with joint planning and execution with other armed services, as well as embark on strong civil engagements for sustainable security outcomes. Air power alone has its own limitations in holding the ground or reinforcing air missions with decisive ground operation. That is, there is need for air power to be married with ground operation or ground capability. That is a task that is expected principally of the Army, but even the Air Force is also expected to acquire ground capability. In addition to synergy between the services, there is also an acute need not to downplay the strategic, operational, and tactical values of community participation in military operations. The service should note that community relations, intelligence gathering, and local involvement remain crucial in winning the hearts and minds of the citizenry as a prerequisite to winning the war and keeping the peace. In Borno State, we have made significant strides in promoting civil-military relations. We have established a robust framework of collaboration and coordination between the state government, security agencies, and local communities through the Borno State Security Council, the local government security councils, and other interagency platforms that have effectively operated in the state. This has enabled us to respond more effectively to security challenges and to provide support to affected communities. Accordingly, as we move forward, it is essential that we continue to prioritize civil-military relations. We must work together to build trust, promote understanding, and foster cooperation. This requires a sustained commitment to dialogue, collaboration, and mutual support. As I said earlier, joint operational environment requires seamless coordination between the Nigerian Air Force and sister services, as well as relevant civil authorities. The successes recorded in the recent air operations across the different theaters of conflict have been made possible through joint planning, interoperability, and adaptive strategies. We must deepen these collaborations by investing in training, modernizing equipment, and leveraging technology to enhance intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance capabilities. As we reflect on the progress and aspirations of the Nigerian Air Force, let us also reaffirm our commitment to fostering the Nigerian Air Force, our commitment to fostering a more inclusive, cooperative, and proactive approach to national security. I am honored to be part of today's event, during which two thought-provoking lectures will be delivered. The first paper, titled Building Trust and Cooperation for Sustainable Civil-Military Relations, to be delivered by Professor Zabadi, while the second, titled Civil-Military Relations and Operational Effectiveness, Nigerian Air Force Operation in Perspective, to be delivered by Air Vice Marshal Adesanya. At the end of these lectures, I expect robust, frank, and sincere discussions that will provide invaluable insight into ways that we can strengthen the partnership between military forces and the civilian population. I therefore urge all participants to freely exchange ideas, share experiences, propose strategies for improving civil-military relations in our country. It is through such engagements that we can collectively chart a path towards more effective military operations, while fostering stronger bond between the armed forces and the communities they serve. I conclude by stating that civil-military relations is a force multiplier. I would like to urge all stakeholders to remain committed to optimizing civil-military relations, and I look forward to continuing our collaboration and cooperation in the years to come. The government of Borno State remains committed to supporting the Nigerian Air Force and other security agencies in the collective quest for peace and stability, not only in our region, but also in Nigeria. Once again, I commend the leadership of the Nigerian Air Force for its unwavering dedication to the defense of our nation and continuous efforts in engaging civil institutions for enhanced operations. May this seminar yield actionable solutions that will further strengthen the Nigerian Air Force and its partners in discharge of their noble constitutional duties. Thank you.